Hello, okay. Now, the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial has been adjourned for the day. The defense has asked for more time to go over the evidence in order to prepare for cross-examination tomorrow. Bonginkosi Mtshali was on the stand in the Pretoria High Court today. He was the commander of SAP13 in Cleveland, Johannesburg, from January 2019 to October 22. He was responsible for securing exhibits, including the firearm that was found in possession of accused number 3 in this case, Mthobisi Mncube. eNCA's Manqoba Mchunu was in court earlier, joining us now here on Today for an update. Manqoba, just tell us exactly what happened in court in terms of this evidence given by Mtshali from the police about the firearm.
Well, it's interesting evidence, Britain, when you look at it, because what we heard today is that the firearm that was confiscated from one of the accused, this is accused number 3, Mthobisi Mncube, who you recall, Britain, that this is the very same accused that just a couple of weeks ago we saw the state building a profile, so to speak, as far as his, propensity to crime is concerned. We saw the stacks of money, the photos that have been recovered from his phone that showed stacks of money that showed various weapons as well as illegal, ammunition and money that seemed to have been the loot of some, criminal activity that had taken place. And of course, we heard today that the firearm that was confiscated from this particular accused, who is Mthobisi Mncube, was meant to have been destroyed by the police back in 2017. You recall, Padan, that we've heard that he was arrested in 2015 on a separate matter, which involved a case that had happened in Alexandra. And this is during the arrest that police had then confiscated this particular firearm. There were ballistic tests that were done when this firearm had arrived. But we understand that when those tests were concluded and the case was ultimately concluded, there was an instruction that was given by the top police brass for this particular firearm to be destroyed. Not particularly the top brass, but the senior management of the police at the Cleveland police station. And this is just normal procedure that is followed, Britain, once a case has been concluded. But what we learned in court is that that particular firearm was meant to have been destroyed, but that did not happen because of the delays in the procedures that have to be followed when a firearm has to be destroyed. So what we heard from Mtshali is that it could take anything from 1 year to 3 years for a firearm to be destroyed. And in fact, later on we understand, Pretend, that this was the same firearm that was also taken by some of the ballistic experts that are involved in the Senzo Meyiwa murder case. But perhaps let's take a listen to the bite as he explains that instruction that had come for that firearm to be destroyed.
On the 10th of November 2017, there was an instruction, as indicated earlier, that the superiors would be giving the instructions pertaining these exhibits. 3.1 here, it says that these items were to be forfeited to the state or be confiscated by the state for destruction, or that it be destroyed.
Who gave that instruction?
The instruction was given by the branch commander, or Lieutenant Colonel Matahale.
Now, Manqoba, has any link been made between this firearm and Senzo Meyiwa's killing, and also what's happening next now in this trial?
Well, but then at this particular point, no link has been made by the state as far as this is concerned. But what we do understand, and of course what has been placed before us, is that at the time of his arrest, accused number 3 had been in possession of this particular firearm, and as well as 28 rounds of ammunition that were found alongside that firearm. But what we know so far, Britain, from the evidence that has emerged in court, is that the tests for the bullet projectile that was found in the house, you recall the evidence that we've heard in the past few days from Thabo Mosia as well as Thobeka Mhlahlo, that they had found a bullet projectile in the kitchen of the Khumalo house just a day after this incident had occurred. And from what we understand, the tests to that bullet projectile were only done in 2020. And what we heard in court is that that particular test for this firearm, the second test that was carried out, was actually carried out in 2020. This is 3 years, but then after this firearm was meant to have been destroyed. And of course, I think the state is still laying out the foundation as far as where it's taken taking this line of questioning, but we are expecting, of course, the ballistic expert who did examine this firearm to give more details, specifics as to whether or not this is linked in anyhow to this particular case.
Thank you very much, Manqoba Mchunu. They're just wrapping up some of the highlights of what came out today in the High Court in Pretoria in the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial.